Hello everybody, Michael here for Tactica Imperialis with episode 3 of Codex Analysis Astra Militarum. If you've missed the first two parts, make sure to check out the link in the description, and you will also find the link to more Codex Analysis videos via that link. So, today we are doing the HQ section. This is every non-named HQ, everybody who's not unique, basically. There are one, two, three main HQ options, and then we have four non-slot taking up HQ options. It's a little bit complicated and convoluted and annoying, so I'll try and explain it as best I can. So, we start with the company command squad. They are 60 points, and for that you get 1 commander and 4 veterans. The company commander is weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 3, toughness 3, 3 wounds, initiative 3, 3 attacks, leadership 9, and a 5+ save. The veterans are weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 4 again, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, initiative 3, 1 attack, leadership 7, and a 5+ save. They are infantry, and the company commander is also a character, so he can issue and accept challenges. The commander is armed with flak armor, las pistol, close combat weapon, frag grenades, and a refractor field for a 5+ invuln save. And the veterans have flak armor, a las gun, and frag grenades. The senior officer also has the senior officer special rule, so he can issue 2 orders a turn and voice of command, which I explained in part 1. And then you have an absolute ton of options. So the first option is you can add regimental advisors. You can add an astropath for 25 points who is a psyker mastery level 1 that uses telepathy. I'm not dead keen on the astropath. I don't think he's powerful enough, and I don't think telepathy is that good of a discipline. You may add a Master of Ordnance for 20 points, and he can call down what is called an artillery bombardment, which is very powerful, although it is very, very inaccurate. I'm just going to go and look for it. Where's it gone? Here we go. It's a shooting attack with range infinite, so it doesn't really matter where your Master of Ordnance is. Strength 9 Ep.3, Ordnance 1 barrage, large blast. It's not resolved with other barrage weapons such as actually mortars. It's not resolved with mortars, but it must choose the same target as the rest of the unit, so it has to be something that you can realistically shoot unless you want to sacrifice all your shooting for a turn. If a hit is rolled on the scatter dice, the blast marker scatters 2d6 scatters 2d6 inches in the direction shown by the arrow on the hit symbol. So this thing cannot hit directly, so it will scatter 2d6 no matter what, even if you roll a hit. However, if you roll an arrow, it scatters an extra d6, so it's 3d6. If you have line of sight, you do get to reduce it by your ballistic skill, which is 4. So it's going to be either 2d6 minus 4 if you've got line of sight, or 3d6 minus 4 if you don't. And if you roll an arrow. So it's pretty inaccurate, but damn is it powerful. And he is 20 points. I think he's added into the unit. He doesn't replace a veteran, I'm absolutely sure of it. Just get right back to the page. Here we go. Yeah, it's just add in. So you don't exchange, you add in. They basically come unequipped. Oh, they have flak armor and close combat weapons and grenades. They have no guns, but you can give them a las pistol for free instead of a melee weapon. An officer of the fleet is 20 points as well. And his profile is identical to a veteran's, as all the advisors are. And he has a rule called Navy Orders. And Navy Orders is about moving reserves around. If you remember the old Guard Codex, then Officers of the Fleet gave you +1 to your -1 to your enemy's reserves, and your Astropath gave you +1 to yours. Now, your Officer of the Fleet takes a leadership test to take a Navy Order, which either gives you +1 reserve bonus, or your opponent gets a -1 penalty, but will always pass on a 6. So you can't get +1 and -1 for your opponent. You only get 1. So you need to choose, and it's at the beginning of your turn before any reserve rolls are made, obviously. So you don't get both. So you need to choose a little wisely. If you've got 2 or 3 reserves that need to come in, get them in on a 2+. If you have no reserves and your opponent does, it is absolutely worth activating the other version to give them a negative. And again, he's 20 points. I don't know how much value these guys are. I don't rate the Astropath. A Master of Ordnance is handy, but is very inaccurate. And an Officer of the Fleet is good if you've got and air wings such as Militarum Tempestus, Valkyries, Vendettas, and general reserve things. Company commander may take melee weapons, ranged weapons, special issue war gear, and heirlooms of conquest. This is quite a long list, so I'm not going to cover the heirlooms of conquest again. I covered them in part 1, but there's obviously you are not allowed to take the Emperor's Benediction, and if you take the Blade of Conquest, it replaces your melee weapon. That's the only real thing. So in terms of special weapons, you don't get them. Ranged weapons, bolt pistol, bolt gun, plasma pistol. Anything is better than a las pistol. And a bolter and a bolt pistol are only 1 point. It's worth 1 point to get a shot off. And a plasma pistol for 15, I'm not so sure about that for value. Special issue war gear, crack grenades, carapace armor, melter bombs, camo gear. You must buy your commander's carapace armor separately from everybody else. Don't ask me why. I think that's how it works. I think you have to buy it separately from everyone else. Yeah, you must buy it separately from everyone else, so be careful not to get caught out by this. Melter bombs, if you're going anywhere near a tank heavy army or you're running a melter gun, take them. Camo gear, stealth, I'm undecided. I don't think a 6+ cover save is that much use, unless you're already in cover, in which case it's a 4+ cover save, so that's good. Melee weapons, power weapon and power fist, pretty much pointless on a guardsman. Even a power fist only strikes at strength 6. So I would not bother. He may take a shotgun instead of his last pistol for free, and that's not a bad upgrade to have. I mean, a free shotgun, you get an extra shot basically. Any veteran may take a pistol and combat weapon instead of his las gun. Pointless unless you actually want to go into melee. Voxcaster. If you're taking a company command squad, take a Voxcaster. This is non-negotiable. It's 5 points. Do it. Heavy Flamer for 10 points. I'm undecided. Medipack, 15 points. Feel no pain. The value on this when you're facing Space Marines is not even funny. The amount of times you'll need that extra 5+ to bail you out. I mean, if an assault cannon turns up, you're toast anyway, because you don't get it against instant death. But it's very, very handy to have a Medipack against anything that's basically not an assault cannon. And then one other veteran may carry a regimental standard. And a regimental standard does something. It costs 15 points, and I believe it gives +1 combat resolution and reroll to morale checks within a certain radius. Here we go. I was right. Platoon standard, scoring an additional wound for the purposes of calculating assault results, so +1 to combat res. In addition, any friendly unit from Codex Astra Militarum within 12 inches, reroll, fail morale, fear, and pinning tests, which is handy, but it's very easy to get this guy sniped. You've got to be careful where you put him, particularly if you're just trying to protect your commander, and you've got a Medipack who you want to keep alive, and you've got a banner that you want to keep alive. You've only got 2 chaff guys left, and if you give them a special weapon or make a heavy weapon team, you've got no chaff models, just a tanks and wounds, which sucks. So I'm not sure. 2 other veterans may take a veteran weapon team, must take a heavy weapon from the list, which is pretty good. Any remaining veteran who's not been upgraded with anything so far may take a special weapon, and all veterans may take one of the following. Any of the following, sorry. Crack grenades, 1 point per model, so 5 points for the squad. This is pretty handy. I think this is not bad. Carapace armor, 2 points a model, makes it 10 points for the squad. Very much worth the investment if you're taking a medic, because then you've got 2 5+ saves against a bolt gun. Camo gear, 2 points per model, same rules as the company commander. If you're not going to stay in cover, pointless. You may take a Chimera or a Taurox, and I'll cover those in part 4, which is troops and transports. I think it'll be the next episode, because the bit after, I'll cover it in the next episode. It's troops and transports. And okay, so next option, tank commanders. I like tank commanders a lot. It's a 30-point upgrade to your Leman Russ, and it gives your Leman Russ ballistic skill 4, basically. And that's about it for 30 points. Although he is now a character, for whatever difference that makes. Do vehicles get lookouts, sir? Can somebody tell me in the comments, do vehicles get lookouts, sir? Because if they do, this is unbelievable. As a character, you can look out, sir. I'd be surprised if you can, though. 2 rules: Leman Russ Commander and Tank Orders. So tanks have their own special orders because they can't receive the regular orders of, well, everybody else. I'm just going to go and find them. Here we go. A tank commander starts the game in a Leman Russ, leading a Leman Russ squadron. You must take at least 1 more Russ with the tank commander. Note that any type of Russ can be taken as the tank commander's vehicle, and it can have any upgrades usually available to that type of tank. So you can just still spam this thing out. The tank's commander is a character, has BS4, and can be chosen as your warlord. If his tank is wrecked or suffers an explosion result, he dies. Tank commander and his Leman Russ count as 1 HQ choice for the entirety of the battle, and a Leman Russ from a tank commander cannot leave the unit or join another unit even if the rest of his squadron is destroyed. So you can't just pull him out of this squadron and go and join another one, or see the other 2 get wrecked and join another one. That's not how it works. He's not independent. And he has tank orders. I should also point out that you don't get all the guard warlord traits if you take this guy as your warlord. You only get the first 3 options. So tank orders. It's basically a leadership test, but it's leadership 9. 2d6 if the result is 9 or less. So it's like a leadership 9 test. And if you pass, choose a tank order. Full throttle. The tank commander's unit immediately moves flat out, moving up to 6 plus d6 even though they are heavy. So you get a bonus move in the shooting phase to make up for the fact that you can't go very quickly most of the time. Excuse me. Gunners. Kill on sight. The tank commander's unit immediately shoots. The tank commander must shoot at a different target to the rest of his unit. The tank commander must resolve his shooting attack first. Once this shooting attack has been resolve the shooting attacks made by the rest of the unit. This must be at a different target, which cannot be a unit forced to disembark as a result of the tank commander's initial shooting attack. Long story short, it gives this squadron pseudo-split fire. I should say that if you're running a Vanquisher and you blow up a tank, you can't then drop a pie plate on the unit that just disembarked from the blown up tank. That's a rule you can't do, sorry. Otherwise, pretty powerful, and it allows you to take a variety of tanks. So you might take a tank hunter on your commander, and then a Punisher and a Exterminator for anti-infantry on everybody else. Strike and Shroud. Tank commander's unit must make a shooting attack. After this shooting attack, all vehicles unit that have not already done so must use their smoke launchers. I always forget about smoke launchers. I don't think I've ever used smoke launchers. Is this going to make me remember to use smoke launchers? Probably not. I think it just gives you like shrouded or something. It's not specified in here. I've never used them, so I don't know what they do, I'm afraid. It's probably at the back of the book, but I'm not going to go looking for it. And so the tank commander must take 1 Leman Russ from those listed in the heavy support section, which will be part 7 and the final part of this series actually. The squadron must include 1 or 2 other Leman Russes chosen from those listed in the heavy support section. This can be the same tank, so you can take a squadron of 3 regular Russes. It doesn't mean it has to be different tanks to the one taken. Tanks in the tank commander's Leman Russ squadron may take upgrades as for a normal Russ. Common sense. And 1 tank commander may be upgraded to Knight Commander Pask, who I covered in episode 2. So if you want to see about Pask, go back and watch episode 2. The Lord Commissar is our next choice, and he is 65 points of value. This guy is very, very, very good value for your points. He's weapon skill, ballistic skill 5, strength and toughness 3, 3 wounds, initiative 3, 3 attacks, leadership 10, and a 5 plus save. So has he got better leadership than a company commander? I think he does. He does. He has a better leadership than a company commander, which is nice and fluffy. He's got weapon skill and ballistic skill 5, which is probably joint best in the Codex. I think Strachan might have a higher weapon skill. Nope, same weapon skill, joint best weapon skill, and probably the best ballistic skill in the whole entire Codex. Flak armor, bolt pistol, close combat weapon, frag grenades, crack grenades, refract field. So crack grenades are standard, that's nice. Aura of discipline, so units within 12 inches can use his leadership. Chain of command. This sucks. He can't be a warlord if you take a senior officer, which is okay, but it's a little bit annoying because, well, it means you can't make him be a badass warlord if you take a company commander. Independent character, stubborn, and summary execution. Now, I had a comment on part 2 saying you don't have to activate summary execution. You can choose to fall back, apparently. So if you actually don't want to shoot anybody or risk getting some value dude shot, then you don't have to use it, apparently, which is good. I think that makes a commissar a better option. Though bear in mind, if it's in melee, you may well get run down because you're only initiative 3. He may take melee weapons, special issue war gear, and heirlooms of conquest, which includes, he has access to the Emperor's Benediction bolt pistol, which is a 5-point uber bolt pistol, but he does not get the Laurels of Command, the Tactical Auto Reliquary, or Kirov's Aquila. So, unlucky. And he can take a bolt gun for free instead of his bolt pistol, and a plasma pistol for 15 points. I think you're probably alright with a bolt pistol because it gives you an extra attack unless you really, really want a plasma pistol. Then you have commissars themselves. These used to be able to be attached to squads. You used to pay for them in your platoon commanders or infantry squads. Now you take them separately. So you may include one commissar for every company command or platoon command squad in your army. They do not take a force organization slot and do not qualify as a mandatory HQ choice. You must take another HQ choice. Before the battle, immediately after Warlord traits, each commissar must be assigned to a different unit from the following list, which they then cannot leave. So once they're in a squad, they're stuck. Company command, platoon command, infantry squad, special weapon squad, heavy weapon squad, conscripts, veterans, ogrins, bulgrins, military and tempestus command squad, and military and tempestus skians or scions, depending on who you ask. Only one commissar can join each unit in this manner. Now this is actually really quite nice because it gives a unit a weapon skill ballistic skill 4, leadership 9 character with stubborn, so they're very, very sticky now, and it makes orders so much easier. So heavy weapon teams used to have a real problem with orders. Now you can put a commissar in there, they're leadership 9. Conscripts, leadership 9. Ogrins and bulgrins, who I believe are leadership 7. I think they're leadership 7. They might even be leadership 6. I'll check. They're leadership 6 unless you take a bonehead, which you probably should. But they are so much better now that they've got a high leadership. They're not just going to run off. Although you do have to bear in mind summer execution is still a thing. So putting them in company command is risky, and I don't think necessary unless you want your company command squad to have a fighter. So we've got flak armor, bolt pistol, close combat weapon, frag, and crack grenade. So he doesn't get the invuln save that you get on your Lord Commissar, but he only costs 25 points. And you take melee weapons, a bolt gun or a plasma pistol, the same cost as a Lord Commissar. I like commissars. I think they're better done in this way because they give you more versatility. Minister and Priest. Each Astra Militarum detachment may to take 0 to 3 Minister and Priest. They don't take a force org slot and are not a mandatory HQ, so you still need another HQ. They're 25 points, weapon skill ballistic skill 3, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, initiative 3, 2 attacks, leadership 7 and a 5+ save. They're a guard sergeant. So their character, flak armor, las pistol, close combat weapon and frag grenades, but they do have a Rosarius or a Rosarius, and that gives a 4+ invul, which is the joint best invul in the Codex, I think. And I've lost my page. Here we go. So they're an independent character, a zealot, and they have war hymns. So I'm going to go and look up. I think zealot is fearless and hatred. Yeah, fearless and hatred on his unit, and the war hymns are leadership tests that you take in melee. So you take a leadership test, it is LD7, which sucks, but if you pass the test, choose one following him. The Emperor protects. The Minister and Priest in his unit reroll all failed armor and invulns until the end of the phase. That's really good value against units with not many attacks, such as Space Marines, who can cause a lot of wounds, but don't have an absolute ton of attacks. The Emperor's Strength. Until the end of the phase, the Minister and Priest has Smash, making him Strength 6, but with only 1 attack. This is risky, but if you need to insta-give that Dark Eldar Archon, there are much worse ways to do it. The Righteousness of the Emperor. The Minister and Priest in his unit reroll to wound until the end of the phase. Ow, 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 ow. That's powerful. Against monstrous creatures, you want that, generally. I mean, rerollable 6s versus 1 Strength 6 attack. I think you're actually better off going for the rerolls to wound. it's still going to suck, but it's going to be better. And against Tau or Orcs, where you're on Orcs on 5s, Nids on 4s, the value you get out of that is bonkers. So I think that's really good value. And I've completely lost my page. Found it. He may take an auto gun for free, which is basically a las gun. I don't know why it's not called a las gun. And a plasma gun for 15 points. This is actually not bad value for getting more plasma into your army. So put this inside a blob, now packs 6 plasma guns instead of 5. It doesn't sound like much, but when you're facing 5 Terminators, you've got a shot that can afford to miss, and you can add plasma pistols in for better value. I don't think the Warhymns are affected by Commissar leadership, I'm afraid. Okay, Primaris Psyker. This guy is value incarnate. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 4, strength 3, toughness 3, 2 wounds, initiative 3, 2 attacks, leadership 9, and a 5-up save, and he costs 50 points. And as with priests, you take 0 to 3 in a detachment, don't take up a slot, not a mandatory HQ. Flak armor, las pistol, force weapon, frag grenades, and refractor field, so he has the force psychic power, and a refractor field, 5-up invuln, quite handy. Independent character, Psycho Mastery level 1, who can take any discipline except telepathy. So if you want telepathy, take an astropath. So it's biomancy, divination, pyromancy, telekinesis, and you also get demonology. 50 points, can be upgraded to level 2 for 25 extra. There's a rule called it's for your own good. I think this is some sort of special commissar interaction. Just check. Here we go. If a Primaris Psyker suffers perils of the warp whilst in the same unit as a commissar, he's executed immediately after resolving the usual effects, removing the Primaris Psyker as a casualty. There is absolutely no point in this rule. This rule is absolutely awful. Because it says after resolving the usual effects. So the perils of the warp table will still be rolled on. So your Psyker could get buffed and then executed immediately. And it won't stop any sort of backlash explosion thingy. And then he'll get killed anyway. So this is basically saying don't put a Primaris Psyker in a Commissar unit, if you ask me. I mean, there might be something I'm missing, but that's what I interpret that to mean. Engine Seer. Tech Priest Engine Seers. They have a Guardsman stat line, but they're Leadership 8, and have a 3+ save. This is, again, the best save in the Codex. I think Strachan has the same save. 40 points, 0 to 3, and you may include 1 unit of Servitors for every Engine Seer. So 0 to 3 Engine Seers, 0 to however many Engine Seer squads of Servitors. Power Armor, Las Pistol, Power Axe, Servo Arm, Frag and Crack Grenades. I'm not sure why the Power Axe is there when you've got a Servo Arm, because I think they basically do the same thing. Oh, no, stand corrected. Power Axe, +1 strength AP2, unwieldy. Servo Arm, ×2 strength AP1, melee, unwieldy, specialist weapon. So if you use the Power Axe, you'll actually get +1 attack. But you'll only be striking at strength 4 instead of at strength 6. I don't see much value in the Servo Arm. It's more used for repairing stuff. Speaking of repairing stuff, because that's what generally we buy our Tech Priests to do, they have 2 rules. Awaken the Machine and Blessings of the Omnissiah. Oh, you can also take Melter Bombs for 5 points if you're interested. Awaken the Machines. This is quite a nice rule. In each of your shooting phases, instead of firing his weapons, the Engine Seer may choose a single friendly vehicle within 12 inches. That vehicle gains power of the machine spirit, basically allowing it to fire an extra weapon at full ballistic skill. That's pretty good. And Blessings of the Omnissiah, in each shooting phase, instead of shooting, you may choose to repair a single friendly vehicle he's in base contact with or embarked on. To repair, roll a d6 and add 1 for each Servitor with a Servo Arm. So his Servo Arm does not make an effect. Unless, I may be completely wrong, because it used to be on a 6. Now it's on a 5. So it may be that the Servo Arm is factored in automatically. So on a 5-up, you restore a whole point lost earlier, or repair a weapon destroyed or immobilized, effective immediately, so you can shoot or go flat out if you want to. So I don't know if you're allowed to do both. I think you're allowed to do both. There's nothing specifying that you can't. though I'm not 100%. Anyway, the last thing is servitors. They're 10 points each, and they each come with a servo arm. Weapon skill is skill 3, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, 3 attacks, 1 attack, leadership 8, and 4+ save. They have mind lock, so I think they just can't do anything if there's not an engine seer around and they don't roll a 4+. Take 5 in a squad. And you can swap their servo arms for heavy bolter or multi-melter for 10 points, plasma cannon for 15. Little to no point in swapping it if you want to do a repair job, and if you want them to kill things, why are you taking them? I mean, maybe 3 servo arms takes the result to a 2+, making it fine, and then 2 with guns, okay. But taking 2 guys both with guns defeats the point, in my opinion. Anyway, that's all for this video. Personal favourites are the Lord Commissar and the Company Commander, although I do love the Tank Commander, and I have a good feeling about using Commissars, Priests, Psykers, Engineers. They all have a very good place. How you upgrade is up to you, and I'm not going to give you too much advice on that, but I would say level 2 is probably better than level 1 in every way, shape or form. So that would be good. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Next video in this series will be part 4, looking at troops and transports, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. My name is Michael, and I will see you again.